Hello, everybody, and good evening. It is Andrew from Central Illinois Weather here with a weather briefing for July 12th, 2023. So, currently ongoing right now, which is probably going to be one of the bigger stories is of how tomorrow evolves, is we have an area of supercell activity across Montana into Wyoming and South Dakota. This is expected to move southeastward along an instability gradient, strengthen, and eventually grow upscale into what could become a powerful mesoscale convective system, or MCS. As you can see here, there is a boundary that's kind of located roughly in here. Storms are likely going to probably eventually start to grow upscale into a mesoscale convective system and move along said boundary to the south and east. These storms will ride the boundary into Illinois and probably arrive there midday. There is a lot of question marks on what this will do for Illinois, Iowa, Missouri, Indiana, Michigan, and I hope to maybe answer some of them, but at the same time maybe bring up a little bit more question marks for you guys who are weather enthusiasts, me as well. Of course, I am not a official meteorologist or really anything like that, so note that this is unofficial or note that this is not official information. Of course, I will be using the Storm Prediction Center's forecast though. So currently, the Storm Prediction Center upgraded enhanced risk in northern Nebraska with the 1Z outlook, which they did at 8 o'clock. So they have a slight risk from Glasgow, Montana, into areas just east of Des Moines. So I would say probably I think Centerville is in that risk, maybe barely, and then to the west of there. Other places in the slight include Omaha, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, um, Sioux City, Iowa, Rapid City, Iowa, or Rapid City, South Dakota. There is a small tornado threat from Montana and Wyoming into southern Iowa with that mesoscale convective system. There is also a singular discrete supercell that is north of Broken Bow that will also provide potentially a tornado threat if it can stay surface based, which I'm watching, or I did watch some live streams and it still was. We're expecting a significant wind threat to evolve from, I would say, Valentine, Nebraska into western Iowa based off what the SPC progged. There's a 30% wind. Then there's also a 15 hatch tail from Valentine, Nebraska, all the way up into Montana. 15 hatch tail did miss out on quite the hailer ongoing in the North Platte, Nebraska vicinity. This is the storm near Broken Bow that has tornado possible tagged and warned for 2-inch hail, so hen egg sized hail. You can see there is some weak rotation with that. Lots of storm chasers on it, getting some incredible structure. So they're having a good show. But our main action that's probably going to turn into an MCS is up here in South Dakota. Looking into tomorrow's, are looking into the discussion. They're mentioning potential for upscale growth into an MCS, and also potential for a couple stronger storms further to the south in the Arklatex. Tomorrow, tomorrow's forecast will really rely on what happens with this convection that's evolving in the Dakotas and Nebraska right now. Currently, the SPC has a slight risk from Omaha and Lincoln, Nebraska through southern Iowa, just east of Des Moines, going up back into kind of eastern Iowa, including the Quad Cities, and it goes throughout central and really just, I would say, the 3/4 of Illinois there is included. Maybe 4/8 of, or 4/5 of it. Lots of Illinois is included, and then western central Indiana, northwestern Kentucky, pretty much the whole state of Missouri except for the boot heel, and then northern Arkansas and eastern Kansas. And then there's a large marginal surrounding that from Maine into South Dakota and the Central Plains. There will be a tornado threat. Would not be surprised to see a 5% tornado threat introduced once we get a mesoscale corridor tomorrow, which it could be anywhere in this 2% region or maybe some other areas too if this 2% region gets expanded. Looking at guidance right now, if there probably would be a 5% prog somewhere, it probably would be maybe southeast Iowa into Missouri and maybe someplace in Illinois. There's potential that storms form along an outflow boundary there after the morning complex moves through. Damaging winds will be probably a pretty big threat for some people if a rather robust MCS evolves. We are expecting the potential for significant wind gust, 10% chance within a radius of 25 miles in southeast Nebraska, eastern Kansas, and central Missouri into western Illinois. Places like St. Louis, Missouri, um, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, Topeka, Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas, and then St. Joseph, Missouri as well. And then there's a 15% wind surrounding that. Potential for large hail will exist within this 5% region, although this risk is a little bit weaker. And then we see potential for very large hail above 2 inches in diameter across pretty much the Kansas City metro. And then also this risk of hatcheting of the damaging winds in the black area, that is for 74 plus gusts. There will also be potential for some severe storms on Thursday as well, although this is quite uncertain. And then beyond that, there will be severe potential as noted in the SBC discussion. Again, very uncertain to forecast, but some sort of severe potential is likely. Let's move on to the SREF, and then we'll probably go to the HREF. We'll see if the HREF's loading in. It's loading in, so we'll probably get to that at the end of the video. Here's the SREF. So the SREF is called the Short Range Ensemble Forecast, and this is one of the tools that I use to depict severe weather potential. For tomorrow, we can see multiple different WART maxes showing up with these X's here. So this is going to be areas of higher forcing depicted by the SREF, and we're seeing pretty much Iowa as the focal point here with the 21 Zulu time run. So this ran at 4 p.m. And we've seen southeast Iowa with the maximum amount of vorticity there based off that. Looking into the mixed layer cape, if I can get that, or if not, we'll go we'll go surface cape. Here's the surface cape that the SREF expects tomorrow. So it's right now saying there's going to be mean values across the state, across a large area that's going to be pretty strong. 3,000 plus in this ring right here, and then 2,000 plus with this ring, 2,500 plus with this ring. So pretty robust situation here. I gotta blow my nose, so excuse me. And then I believe that area in blue is, I think I don't know what that is, but it's probably an area of higher confidence invincibility, I would guess. I don't know. Here we go. Here's 500 millibar. That's not the right 500 millibar. Or is it? Here's the 0 to 6 kilometer bulk shear that we're expecting tomorrow. So we're expecting a large area with 40 plus knots being a possibility. Really anywhere with this black area here, as a pretty strong trough is likely to move in. And then the SREF also has a thing called significant tornado ingredients. This is where it has the maximum tornado threat. So for tomorrow, it maxes the tornado threat out across portions of northeastern Iowa, and then it also does it into north central Illinois. So that's going to be interesting, and then it kind of maxes it out at 3Z, and then we get a lower tornado threat from there. And then not really much for Thursday yet, and then Friday doesn't really have much either. We'll go to the calibrated severe thunderstorm. This is kind of the area where it's highlighting the highest chance for severe thunderstorms tomorrow. So tomorrow, it's got that area from Kansas. Okay, why did this reload? So for tomorrow, it's got that area. This is 0Z 7 p.m. It's got that area from Kansas into Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois. Now this model might be a little bit too far to the west. We'll have to see. SREF can be a bit slow sometimes, but we'll kind of see what happens with it. We can go into pivotal weather as well, and you can get a SREF version up on there. It will have pretty similar stuff. We'll go look at the STP with it, as this is going to depict where it's suggesting where the highest tornado potential may lie. So it's got STP tomorrow with values in blue over 1 in east central Iowa into northern and northwestern Illinois. Earlier in the day, it's focused into Iowa. And then we can see there's a parameter called where it thinks STP is going to be over 1 potentially, and where QPF is going to be over 0.5, and that's going to be maxed out from Kansas into kind of Illinois. So this is where the SRF depicts the highest tornado risk for tomorrow. Severe risk overall, pretty large area of severe weather risk. We have lots of instability depicted with 2,000 plus, although this might be higher or lower depending upon what happens. Solid amounts of wind shear are also expected, 45 plus knots of bulk shear. Now let's move on to some of the higher risk cams, and we're actually going to look into the HREF for this as well. Here's what the cams are really showing tomorrow being like. So here's 12Z, and we can see our MCS, I believe, would be located here along the edge of the shortwave. And it could be decaying at this point. It also could survive as well. We'll have to see. We'll go look at the most unstable cape, and we can see models are really not uncertain on what the instability is going to be like, but they're not showing much right now with where the MCS is going to be. Only about 1,000 joules per kilogram on most unstable cape. Now, if we do look at, we do look at what the RAP shows. The RAP probably has a okay idea of what the synoptic kind of output will be. 12Z tomorrow, here's what the RAP shows. So it has kind of the shortwave into Illinois, and then we can see here it's got relatively strong values, a little bit stronger than what the HREF or HREF overall has. It's got a corridor here of 1,000 plus already showing up, so pretty large area of stronger values of instability. And then we can see here we have a little shortwave here, which probably will have convection on it, and does, but not much. And you can see the main MCS is in kind of western Illinois there, and eastern Iowa, with the main shortwave starting to punch in there. And then we can look at this and we can see moisture values are into the upper 60s / low 70s. So rather robust moisture for being in the morning. We could have a little bit higher moisture than that, we will see. Taking a box sounding in the morning, and we can see that the boundary layer is not too decoupled. There is a bit of a surface inversion here, but that's to be expected in the morning. We have plenty of elevated instability above that, around 1,500 or so. And if we look at this photograph here, we have lots of upper level wind shear as well as some curvature as well. So we probably will have that risk for severe weather into the morning hours, although this is a little bit less confident. And as we get into the afternoon, the RAP showcases a rather large area of strong instability values, which I would consider to be probably 2,500 plus, which it's really going to be in here and out here as well. So, and I wouldn't really look at the RAP reflectivity too much, but we're going to look at the 500 millibar, and you can see we got one shortwave generally located here, and then we have another one out here, and then we have maybe another one over here. So multiple different areas, and we could have multiple storm complexes on this. The RAP reflectivity represents this with multiple storm complexes as well. Looking at the mixed layer cape, which probably is going to be more right to use at this time of the day because storms are going to be surface based. We can see it's relatively strong. And as we get into Illinois with that Lee shortwave, potentially some super selectivity, as we do have some nice low-level curvature on the photograph there, and some upper-level wind shear. If the RAP solution were to verify, we probably would have a large hail threat with that, potentially even a threat for a tornado or two as well. Although the main threat for more significant severe weather would probably be brewing in Nebraska and Iowa with that shortwave. As we look here, we got a pretty robust environment with lots of instability and speed shear as well. As we go further onto the day, the front moves to the eastward, and this rather robust area of wind shear will move east as well. I don't know. RAP does overdo convection, so we might not have the low level as stable as the RAP does show. Looking into the href into the evening, we can see lots of uncertainty with that northern mode. It's the most certain right now on a rather robust MCS forming in Kansas, Nebraska overnight and traveling to the southward. And I think that's probably a realistic solution, and we probably will get an enhanced risk since this solution is really starting to trend upwards. Sorry, I'm sniffling. My nose is just bothering me today. And we can see in the morning, not really certain on where stuff is going to lie. There's potential for a few stronger storms in Illinois during the morning hours into the early afternoon, as the cluster could end up strengthening, could end up being on the Iowa-Illinois border around 12 p.m., either break up into more supercellular storms or keep strengthening as a possibility as well if the instability needed breaks out, although the risk in really, I would say, anywhere east of probably Columbia, Missouri is quite conditional for tomorrow, and will really rely on what happens with that morning convection. As we can see here, there is a rather robust signal for convection, really anywhere from Topeka, Kansas into kind of the Kansas City metro itself. There probably will eventually be an enhanced risk placed down for that. For more robust helicity tracks, here we go. We'll look at the Central Plains for this. Overnight, there are some models that do prog some rather intense tracks, but these end up dwindling. And then as we get into the afternoon hours, some of these tracks come back, and we start to see them kind of move southward. Although the most intense helicity tracks will probably be in Kansas and Missouri, and there's not really a bullseye yet on where that'll be as well. There's just a broad area of rather robust activity that's possible. We'll look at what the cams have for precipitation over 40. This is all the cam models, and you can look at the model. Bottom here, cams are convective allowing models. And you can see here, this is generally what, these are all the models that are being showcased. So the Zulu time, 3Z is going to be 10 p.m., so that's right now. Not very many cams are really, actually right now is 4Z. Not really many cams picked up on the supercell ongoing in Nebraska that hasn't really gone upscale yet at all. So that is quite interesting. And then they also have storms out in eastern Nebraska, which really haven't happened yet. Some of the cams also have rather robust convection in Illinois. You can see here, I think this front group of models might be a little bit too fast here. This would be DFV3 and the NSSL a couple hours back. We'll see if more storms fire in front of this MCS, which is completely possible. More stronger precip is potentially expected to move into Illinois as early as 6 a.m. or 12Z, but is most likely to move into Illinois around 15Z or 9 a.m., which is when the stabilization could take place. And we're not sure when this is going to clear out. Some models have this clearing out around 1 p.m. or 12 p.m., a little bit earlier. And then some models along with it have a second round of convection developing. This second round, if we can destabilize enough, will probably be pretty strong. Could have some tornadoes with this, could have damaging wind gusts, could have some large hail. We'll have to see. And then as we go off, we can see our main round of storms is forming off in Kansas and Missouri. And as you can see here, that really gets itself going. We could also have a couple lake breeze supercell thunderstorms fire in the Chicago and kind of southeast Wisconsin area. Looking into the maximum storm significant tornado parameter for tomorrow, which this is going to tell us where the cams are suggesting the highest tornado ingredients to be. And we have a lot of them showing Illinois with the maximum STP values upwards of 2. So if we can get a robust storm to fire in this corridor tomorrow, there could be some tornadoes here. And this is where our mesoscale corridor of a 5% could end up lying. We can also see there's some higher significant tornado parameter values in Oklahoma, although those likely won't be used up. Overall instability values tomorrow afternoon are likely going to be 3,000 plus joules per kilogram in Kansas, where that MCS is probably going to plow through. Illinois, that conditional risk values are likely going to be 1,000 to 2,000 unless something really changes. That will do it for this video, as I have to go to bed to prepare for my chase tomorrow if I do end up going chasing, which will be relying off that parameter space that's decent in Illinois. We'll have to see what happens. I will probably be either doing a video update on here about the chase tomorrow or even go live, so catch me then.